guys, Mythology Guy and Wilda here, and we just saw the first episode of Trese.
Yes, that.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I think they established.
I'm done trying to pronounce it. That's what I think. I'm pretty sure Nuno called her Trese.
Yeah.
Trese. Yeah. Okay. So for anyone who doesn't know, this is a Netflix animated show. They're calling it a Netflix anime, but I'm pretty sure this is Western made, so I don't consider that to be an anime, but that's a whole nother debate. But yeah, it takes place in the Philippines.
Yep.
It's about a Filipino detective who, investigates crimes relating to Filipino mythical creatures. I love that premise. Apparently it's based on a comic book, and when I heard that, I got really interested in the comic book. After seeing this, I kind of want to pick up the comic book.
Yeah.
I might wait until we finish the whole season, though. But we just saw the first episode, haven't seen the whole season yet. We wanted to let you guys know what our first thoughts on it were, because I love mythology, I love comics, I love animated stuff.
And I'm the Filipino,
Yeah.
so that's why I'm here.
Yeah, she's a Filipino. She's obviously been to the Philippines. She's the one who actually first told me my first knowledge of Filipino myths and culture and stuff.
I think it's the white lady or the capre.
The first Filipino video I made, remember, I was getting requests for it, and I went to her, I was like, hey, Wilda, what's like a funny Filipino creature? And you went, the capre. And I was like, what's that? And you told me, I was like, oh, I'm doing that. It's still my most wanted creature to see in this show. We saw a creature that I thought was the capre for a second, but...
No, I think we did, but then you saw another creature who you thought was the capre. I'm like, no, that's more like a wood nymph.
Yeah, it's just because he had a cigar.
Yeah, but
so
I
that's
mean,
what made
all
me
the
think it.
Dudes have, like, you know...
So there's multiple mythical creatures?
No, I'm joking. Just like all the dudes have the cigars, what I mean.
Okay, well, I'm hopeful we're gonna see it. So
I think we'll see the
we saw a little glimpse of the Manananggal.
Yes,
which I'm sure I'm still pronouncing wrong, but whatever.
Yeah, wait, say a swung.
A swung? A swung?
Better.
I'm sorry, I'm white. But this was actually really fun to watch with you, especially because you kept noticing little things that I was surprised that they went to the trouble of including, like a few things.
So if you're Filipino or if you've lived in the Philippines, by the way, for context, so I was born here, but then half of my life, like grade 5 up until college, I was in the Philippines. So if you've lived in the Philippines, if you're born there, or just you were there for maybe a couple months to maybe a few years, oh my god, there are so many Easter eggs in here. Like, there's from the beginning, there are so many of the locations and the scene, different kinds of scenery. These are what you will see in the Philippines. It literally looks like, whoa, you're in the Philippines. Like, the animation, the design,
I think
so
that's awesome.
good.
Like,
So good. And actually, so this is the little Easter egg I didn't tell you about, which I was going to mention, in the first couple seconds of the show, it's like it's scanning down, but if you're Filipino, you'll notice this. Oh my god, a little spoiler, if you look down at the right corner, there's a sign for Jollibee.
Oh, there was?
Yeah, it's like blurred.
I didn't see that.
It's
How could you not point that out to
at
me?
the bottom?
That's one of the only Filipino things I know.
Yeah, so Jollibee is down there, and it's so funny. And and there's so many nods to like what Filipinos would know. For example, after they investigated the dead white lady.
That's the first scene, by the way, so not a huge spoiler.
Yeah.
But yeah, the white lady. It's funny because we were saying in our trailer reaction, "Ooh, do you think the white lady's gonna be this?" First thing we were like, "Is that her?" And then they said, and we were like, "Oh, there it is."
Yeah, and it's funny because they say, "Hey, we have to rewatch the scene. Maybe we got it wrong, but they said something about have Soko check it out. He thinks it's a person. I thought it was more of an event, not an event, but
here's what I think it was. I think it was a person, but they intentionally had that name as a reference to what you're talking about.
Maybe, but I thought
it's a Filipino cop show. You said,
yeah. So here's the funny thing. So if he's correct, what they did was they said, "Hey, have Soko check it out," like a person, and that's super funny to me because Soko's actually a name of a television show in the Philippines. So to call a person Soko, it's like, what?
I think it's because you said it's a cop-related show.
Cop
so
murder mystery.
Exactly, and this is a murder mystery show, and they have a cop named Soko. I think that was an Easter egg.
No,
for
I think so. I think
Just like you also said, like when she's talking to Nuno, like she pulls out like a chocolate bar.
Oh, okay, yeah. And here's another thing. Oh my god, actually, this guy's like little Filipino spoiler, so stop the video and just watch it if you want. But so there's a point where for the American audience or other country audience, there's a point where she gives him, like, he bribes the Nuno with like a chocolate bar, and the wrapper, it's open, right? But you can see the word nut. That's another Easter egg, because in the Philippines we have a candy bar called Choco Nut. So that's that.
Yeah, one thing I both like and am a little confused about of this world is, so normally when there's a show where mythical creatures exist, it's a secret. Only select people know about it. But in this show, it looks like everyone knows.
Yeah, it's pretty
which
open.
I kind of like. I kind of like that. Like the Philippines, we know these monsters are here, but we don't move out. We don't leave. It's just, you gotta deal with an aswang. You gotta deal with a Nuno, a white lady, a manananggal down the street.
Oh, and I also got a compliment to what a strong intro, like the credits
Oh
scene.
yeah.
I don't know, the artwork and everything. Wow, it was so nice.
It was actually really
interesting
because in the intro, in the scene before the intro, I was thinking a little, I feel like the animation could be a little better here. Then the intro started, I was like, oh, this artwork looks amazing.
Yeah, that looked really cool.
Like, it's probably pulled right out of the comic book, if I had to. But the reason that the world confuses me a little is because, I was like, okay, it's established. Everyone knows mythical creatures exist, especially because right next to the body of the white lady, there's a whole bunch of people. But then later...
Wait, it's funny, though. It's interesting, like, how do they kill a ghost?
They said it was a ritual sacrifice or something.
But I just thought that was odd, but
but then later the mayor says hey, I don't have time for these fairy tales. It's like, fairy tales, they're right there. Do you not believe in them? I mean, we know he does believe in them because I think he was just
playing, he's like playing dumb, fairy tales.
I'll be honest though, it's a little weird that the word fairy tale even exists in this universe.
Actually.
But there's such funny little things like, we think the white lady was hooking up with the mayor. I was like, I just can't imagine the mayor is just dating the white lady or something.
That's also a big Filipino culture thing, like having kabit or other woman or whatever, like rich, powerful men.
Yeah, there's a lot of politics with these monsters.
Yeah, and that's very Filipino.
I think that's the idea, because you've told me, sometimes the government in the Philippines can be...
No, not sometimes. It's kind of well known.
Okay, you know this better than I do.
I do.
But
I was there.
I think that's kind of the... If I had to guess, and all of this is in the comics, it might have been the comic book writer's subtle commentary.
Yeah, actually.
On saying, see all these creatures, these monsters that are just blatantly out there? Well, that's nothing new here.
Oh, and you know what? That ties into, what she's... Look, this is major spoilers, I think, already. So, again, pause it and watch the first episode if you want. But she says it in the end, or towards the end, sometimes monsters aren't what...
Well, this isn't really a spoiler.
I know,
honestly.
but then kind of saying what you're saying about commentary.
Yeah.
The girl, Trese, her last name, says something like, monsters aren't only limited to, the ones we know of, but they can also be people, too.
I think what she said was so many monsters, some of them human.
Yeah.
I think that was the line.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a creature that neither of us recognized that came out of her phone, face on fire. Look, I don't know Filipino myth as well as I know other myths. I'm learning more as we go. In fact, I kind of want to pick up this comic series, and I think I'll learn a lot from that.
Yeah.
But it reminded me a lot of an Oni-bi, which is a flaming demon head from Japanese myth. It seems the main character has no reaction to anything going around around her because apparently she's so darn used to it. She's basically, if anyone here is a big DC Comics fan, she's basically Filipino female John Constantine. John Constantine is a character in DC Comics who's a detective who investigates demons and mythical creatures. This is the female Filipino version, and I can't tell you how bad I want these two to meet now. Like, they would be such an awesome, like, team.
Tag team.
Yeah. But yeah, apparently, like, this is a role that's, like, passed down to her from her father also. They have stuff like that. We don't, and, you know, there's stuff I won't spoil that has to do with her parents, but it seems this is a role she has inherited.
Yeah.
Like, she even talks to, like, a messenger of the goddess of death who actually treats her with respect and stuff, so that's interesting to see. Now the animation I feel is a little inconsistent in some ways.
Yeah. I feel like the animation changes. Like, for example, in the opening credits, it's a very different style from what you see watching it. And then there are scenes where it opens and, like, the scenery is, like, in a different art style. But then when we zoom in and start watching the rest of the show, it's like it goes back to that general style.
And also there were some parts, here's the thing, like, I think it's pretty obvious where the priorities, where the action is pretty darn well animated, but there are times when characters are just standing and walking or talking, where I feel like their lip movements are a little stiff, or their walking animation is a little stiff. I had this same problem when watching Blood of Zeus. You weren't there for that, but yeah, this is something I'm seeing a little in modern animation, a lack of fluid motion. I don't know if it's because your budget wasn't there, or we're going to see your budget in later episodes.
So it's okay if there's like...
Nobody cares if the lip movement matches. We care about the jumping and the stabbing and the slicing.
Yeah. I mean, that's coming from someone with a more critical eye. If you're like me, I don't watch a lot of anime, so honestly, I didn't really notice too much of that. Like, so... two different perspectives. Okay,
maybe I might have been looking for it a little more because I have watched a lot of animated stuff.
I didn't notice shit. Like,
I think there was something else I wanted to address. I'm just trying to remember what it was. Anything else you wanted to address?
Not really. Just
like, what are her? She has these two assistants with her. I don't know what they are. This is another thing I haven't come across. But, you know, maybe... I'm sure a lot of people in the comments will go, "You idiot! How do you not know about Fred and George from Philippines?"
Yeah, I don't know what they are.
I don't know. Like, they wear these masks. One is smiling face, the other is frowning face, and they can fly, and... Yeah.
I don't know what they are.
Yeah, I don't know what they are, but yeah, we've already had multiple, like, creatures showcased in this first episode.
And speaking of that, I think you really will like the story, especially if you love a bunch of monsters and different creatures. Wow, it was just chock full of a lot of them, and we didn't even get to some of them that you and I were looking forward to, like the Mananangad and the Capre and stuff.
Yeah, so, just quick little previews of them is what we got in this.
So if you're like a big monster fan, this one... could could
like she's got monsters as her informants, monsters as her connections, monsters working with her. So I love that they have all of that. I would love to see a show like this taking place in Japan with all the freaky yokai they have over there. It seems like there's this show makes it look like in the Philippines there's a monster at every turn, which from what I know about the Filipino superstitions and cultures, it's like, yeah, I think if you made every Filipino creature real, there would be a monster at every turn.
I guess.
Like, just from what I know, I don't know everything, but what else was I gonna say? Shoot, maybe there was nothing else I was gonna say. Oh, yeah, now I remember what I was gonna say. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of the more creative monsters when she battles against them, because this was the monsters she fights in this episode are cool, but they're also kind of similar to monsters we've seen before, but I'm sure we're going to see an episode with the Manananggal.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be... we know from the trailer there's going to be a Tiyanak episode. I'm excited for that. And, I really want the Capre to have an episode. She says Tabi Tabi Po as a way to, like, start communication with one of the creatures. Po.
So...
No, I know what you actually are supposed to use it for, but remember, it's how she starts her conversation with Nuno earlier.
Yeah, but I think it's like a general, like, excuse me, and, like, that kind of...
No, I know what it's meant for. I'm just saying, like, in the episode, remember, she went to where Nuno was, and she said Tabi Tabi Po, and that was how she contacted Nuno and the creature that popped up. I don't... maybe she's like going up and saying, "Hey, excuse me, like, let's talk." Or I don't know. But I'm interested. I want to watch the rest of this show. I may pick up the comic book. Like this is looking really cool. Honestly, I love the John Constantine comics, so this is right up my alley. What about you?
So, like I said, you know, I'm not the biggest anime fan or anything, but I gotta say, I don't know, I almost want to watch more because of all the Easter egg stuff, like, ooh, what else is very Filipino here, you know?
Yeah, you kept lighting up when you recognized stuff. You were like, ooh, ooh.
Yeah, oh my god, have a drinking game. Every time you see something very from the Philippines, take a shot, or maybe not, you'll get drunk. But,
It's nice to see that in this show, which is probably the first Filipino monster show, at least that I know of, there is so much attention to detail, and it really looks like the people who made it cared. So I'm happy to see that.
Yep.
And that's why, you know, that's why I would love to see a yokai version in the future, if that were ever a possibility. So yeah, I like the show. I think you liked it.
So far, so good.
Like, I think like it's like doing a good job of like being not only for fans of monster stuff, but for Filipino fans, like based on what you've said. So, yeah, I'd say if you have a Netflix account, you might as well check it out. You know, the episodes are short. This is only a 6-episode season. Each episode is only about 30 minutes long, so it's an easy watch. You know, it's not any huge commitment of like 22 1-hour-long episodes or anything like that. This is a 3-hour-long season, basically. So, yeah. I enjoyed it. I guess that's all my thoughts. Yeah. Hopefully we'll see the rest of it soon, and we can talk about that for you in the future. See you next time.